Hello, beautiful souls, beloved sacred hearts, and beloved souls. Welcome to my YouTube channel of the Sacred Heart Awakenings. And I am so grateful you're here watching another powerful message video that I would like to share with you. I am Monica Bermudez. I am an energy, sound, and heart healer and transformer, spiritual teacher, light language channeler with a passion to help to transform men and women from their painful grief after a divorce or a breakup in a relationship so that they can love again and feel sexy again. So in this video, why is karma sexy? So I would like to look at it from a different angle and a different perspective. But before I answer that question, which I'll save towards the end of this video, I would like to discuss what karma is and discuss the top 3 karmic patterns that are related to unhealthy relationships. So the topic of karma has fascinated me for such a long time, and I really wanted to share this message with you to clarify what karma really is, because I feel that there's a lot of misunderstandings on it. So I hope this will activate and clarify some more information for you. So I've also discussed this with my guides, and one of them is a leader in the executive board. Well, I call it the executive board, which really does exist. Is a karma executive board that helps oversee a lot of the karmic activities going on throughout humanity, individually as well as collectively. And karma by itself is a universal law, which I'll get into that information later. So Mary Magdalene is here with me now, and she shows me a scale of what visually, she's showing me this scale of what karma looks like visually. So what she's saying is that karma is a balance of both negative and positive. So whenever you think of karma, don't think it's just negative. So the key is being able to manage it. And I drew a picture for you. And so you see the scale here, a balancing scale. Yes, and I decorated with some hearts and flowers. But the point is that karma is all about balance, and it's neutral. So karma applies to everyone, and that including the ascended cosmic masters. And just because one has ascended does not mean that karma is gone completely or doesn't apply to them. It just means that they've learned to master how to balance both polarities. And when we're here on Earth is a learning school to teach us how to be able to become masters at these two polarities. Now, when we talk about karmic patterns, what does patterns really mean? Patterns is a frequency or the occurrence of something repeating and repeating. And in most cases, this is at a very subconscious level. In other words, it's within the soul, the cells, or the DNA that gets transferred from lifetime to lifetime. Now, we may not remember all the previous lifetimes that we've had, but they're there. Those patterns are there. It's a matter of becoming aware of them and being able to clear or transform them so that they are rebalanced. So karma, the word karma, Sanskrit, it means action. But according to Kabbalion Hermetic philosophy, it is related to cause and effect. So what we do, what we say, and what we speak has an effect and an impact around us, ourselves, others, and situations. So that's why we must be very cautious of how we say them. And yet we are human. So there's everything here in school is all about learning, but it's also about learning how to master it and control it. So this is not to scare you either, but it's to activate and make you aware of how karma operates and works. So karma can also be applicable to physics. Those who have studied physics would know the Newton's third law, that when for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. And Isaac Newton, who is the one who came up with these physics laws, was actually a mystic himself. And he came up with this whole concept based on his experiments, but he also had a mystic heart when he was saying this. So I see it as being related to karma. So for every action that we've done, there has been some reaction and effect, in other words. And so we come into this lifetime with those karmic patterns that get transferred from lifetime to lifetime. And even in this lifetime, you may see certain patterns that keep happening. Patterns in relationships and how they're impacted, which is something that I want to bring up as the top 3 karmic patterns related to unhealthy relationships. Now, this information is based also on personal experience as well as ancient knowledge. And before I jump in to tell you those top 3, I just want to share that I personally have been digging very deep inside of my soul to transmute and transform the karmic patterns from previous lifetimes, and so that I could make more permanent changes. I'm not saying that I've mastered it completely, but I'm saying that it's a point where you start to build and strengthen to become more aware of them. So that way, like when a new relationship's about to start, or you see a relationship, you have a tendency to recognize certain things or catch the red flags. So you become more consciously aware, in other words. So I spent many years after my divorce really digging deep into my soul. And so that's why I've designed a 6 to 12 month program or package, different packages, where I can assist with transmuting them in a much faster way, or assisting in to transmute them. So for taking the time to review this video, I would like to gift you with a private Sacred Heart Awakening session. And as long as you fill out the application that's below this video. So first fill out the application, and that will determine if we are fit for each other for this complimentary Sacred Heart session. So jumping into the top 3 karmic patterns. Number 1, and it's all related to unhealthy relationships. Number 1, the lack of self-worth. Now, this is also related to karmic patterns because something may have happened in a past life that was traumatic. The way you may have died, in other words, or may have been tortured or some other means. So at a subconscious level, you may attract others who don't see you as being worthy of lacking something like love or some other means. So you're not treated as worthy as you ought to be. So something I want to say when it comes to the unconscious patterns, what's going on here. You may say, oh, well, I already know that I'm worthy. But the thing with the subconscious patterns, the karmic patterns, is that they may be so hidden that they're sending out these signals to the universe saying unworthy or lacking in this worthiness. And so that's really what patterns is. It's sending out signals and somebody else is picking up that same signal. And that's what causes the attraction to each other. So second, the lack of self-esteem. So this is all about image. How do you see yourself? And again, and if you do see yourself as being beautiful, and if you have these subconscious patterns saying otherwise, you may attract somebody who may not even see you in this way. Or it may also be something in you already that you're not aware, that you don't see yourself or esteem yourself in the way you ought to. For instance, it doesn't matter if somebody keeps saying that you're beautiful or that you're really, really beautiful in any way, and yet you don't believe them because you don't feel it. So it's really about your own image and your own complex. And the third is the lack of self-love. So I like to use the number 3 because 3 is the law of the triangle. It's all about creation. And it's also, plus it's easier to remember. So the lack of self-love, you could say that it relates to the first 2 that we just talked about, the lack of self-worth and the lack of self-esteem. So those 2 would equal the lack of self-love. But also lack of self-love could be by itself too, just like the other ones. You don't take care of yourself, in other words. So you're always giving and giving and giving, but you forget that you should also give to yourself or allow yourself to receive. So in other words, if somebody were to say thank you and you feel weird, even just accepting a thank you, that's all related to the lack of self-love. And I will attest that those were the top 3 for me. And I feel it is the top 3 for most. And this all came from a lot of karmic patterns. And I remember that even just a plain thank you was very hard for me to even accept. But coming from a place of love and just truly working inside and digging deep into the soul and working on those patterns and transmuting them to be more of light and love, that is where the real work happens. But you have to be really determined and really want to do it. The desire of wanting to do it. So karmic patterns are, to me, like, I visually see them as intertwined, like roots of a tree. You ever seen the roots of a tree, how they kind of intertwine with each other in the ground? So that's kind of how I see karma patterns as well, as distorted energies inside of us who are intertwined into different roots. And they can also be intertwined with ancestor patterns. Ancestor patterns are related to family lineage, coming from your parents. But that's a separate topic that I would like to discuss in another video. So being aware of all these patterns is one thing. But the next step is being able to work on them, to transform them or transmute them, so that you can liberate yourself from it and just rebalance and recenter yourself, like the scale that we talked about earlier. So it does take a lot of work. And if you really want to make those permanent changes, you really have to dig deep into your soul. Which is why I designed the 6 to 12 months package to support with that. So going into the question, Why is karma sexy? Well, first of all, let's discuss what the word sexy really means. Sexy, according to the dictionary, is about attractiveness. So I kind of touched about this throughout the video. Karma works with the law of attraction. So what signals are coming out of us subconsciously will attract that into our life and form these repetitive patterns until we learn to acknowledge them and be able to transmute them. So that is why I say karma is sexy. And if you really want to attract healthier relationships, you must really dig deep inside of you on these karmic patterns so that you may be sexy again in an attractive way, energetically speaking. And you will shine that sexiness and attractiveness coming from your soul, coming from a pure love, because that is the way we deserve to be. We deserve to live a life of joy and love. So thank you so much for watching this video. I am so grateful and I look forward to hearing from you. Please subscribe to this video and share with your family and friends. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love.